normal constituents of urine, and you have started with one abnormal constituent, that is reducing sugar last day. So what is the condition known as where reducing sugars are found in urine? Glycosuria. Okay, so you know the definition of glycosuria. Today I will discuss few aspects of glycosuria regarding the normal renal physiology and its pathophysiology related with the biochemical part. Okay. So glycosuria is presence of reducing sugars in urine. So how many types of glycosuria can be there? What is the most common reducing sugar found in urine as abnormal constituent? It is glucose. Okay. So when particularly glucose is found in urine, it is known as glucosuria. Okay. So glucosuria is presence of glucose. Okay, it is one kind of glycosuria. So glucosuria versus glycosuria, the difference is glycosuria is presence of any kind of reducing sugar, whereas glucosuria is presence of only glucose. Clear? Okay, so what are the other type of glycosurias that can we found in day-to-day lab testing? What are the other reducing substances that can be found in urine? Other than glucose, what are the other reducing substances? What do we understand by the term reducing substance or reducing carbohydrate, reducing sugar? So, when there is a free functional group, what are the functional groups of carbohydrates? Aldehydes or ketones, not both. Aldehydes or ketones. Okay. So, when there is a free functional group present, it will react with, what are the tests we do for identification of reducing sugar? Benedict's and Fehling's. So, they show their reducing property. Okay. The free functional group shows the reducing property. Okay. Now, what are the other reducing sugars we know about other than glucose? What is the functional group of glucose? Aldehyde. So what other kind of functional group is left? Ketone. Name one keto sugar. Fructose. So other than glucose, it can be fructose. And what else? Galactose. Any monosaccharide, all the monosaccharides will give positive Benedict's. Okay. And what are the disaccharides that can give positive Benedict? Lactose, maltose, all these. And what doesn't give? Sucrose. Why? Why non-reducing? No free functional group, because both the functional groups of glucose and fructose, they are used to form the glycosidic bond. Clear? So we know about the basic carbohydrate chemistry. So without this basic knowledge of carbohydrate chemistry, it is kind of difficult to interpret why this reducing property is there and why the tests are coming positive or negative. So according to the types of reducing sugar, we can further get fructoseuria, lactoseuria, galactoseuria or pentoseuria. Okay, what is pentose sugar? So it is 5-carbon monosaccharide. So can you give one example? Ribose, ribulose, xylose, xylulose. Okay, so we can find even pentose sugars also in urine. And is pentose sugar reducing or not? Yes, all monosaccharides are reducing in nature, right? Okay, so what is the normal renal physiology regarding glucose transport? This is part of physiology, but we need to revise this, or we need to know this part, otherwise we won't be able to understand the glycosuria mechanism or the glycosuria cause. So what is the normal renal physiology regarding glucose transport? So before coming to renal mechanism, what is renal? Renal is the term for kidney. So before coming to kidney, we should know the normal glucose level in blood. So what is a normal range of glucose in blood? So this range varies for different state of feeding or fasting. Okay. So whenever you say the range, always mention whether it is fasting or postprandial, okay, or whether it is random. So there are three values, three different sets for glucose values: blood sugar value or plasma sugar value, plasma glucose value. So for fasting it ranges from 70 to 100. And what is the unit? Without the unit, no value is significant. Okay, so it is mg per dl. So normal fasting range, reference range is 70 to 100 milligram per dl, fasting range. What is the postprandial range, or what should be the? It should be less than 140. Okay, so these things are the like stepping stones. You have to remember these values unless these values are changed by the associations. You have to remember it lifelong. Okay, so postprandial value is less than, ideal postprandial value in a normal healthy individual should be less than 140 milligram per dl. And what should be the value of random blood sugar? It should also be less than 140, but the range is up to 200. Okay, beyond 200, any random value of beyond 200 milligram per dl, we will consider it as diabetes. Okay, clear? So these are the plasma glucose concentration or plasma glucose levels of fasting, PP and random. Clear? So now what happens? We eat carbohydrate rich food and it is absorbed through our gut. It comes to blood. The free glucose, they come to blood and then it circulates to all the tissues, right? And what happens in kidney? Filtration. Blood is filtered. So what happens to this free glucose? Okay, not some. 100% is freely filtered through glomerular capillaries. Okay, so 100% glucose comes to the filtrated portion initially. Okay, now when that filtrate comes to PCT, it is reabsorbed. The glucose is reabsorbed. So, to understand it, like this is a gross diagrammatic representation of a neuron, a nephron, sorry. So this is glomerular capillary, this is Bowman's capsule, this is PCT, loop of Henle, DCT, collecting duct. Clear? So we will focus on two parts. One is here. What happens here is 100% of blood glucose or plasma glucose is freely filtered in filtrate. What comes down is the filtrate, correct? So first part is 100% free filtration of plasma glucose into the filtrate. Next comes the PCT. Right? So in PCD, what happens? If this is the lumen, what else is there? So this is the epithelials of PCT, and what is beyond it? The capillaries. Okay, so this filtrate, it is coming through the tubular lumen. This is tubular lumen. This is the PCT endothelium, and this is blood vessel. Okay, so it contains glucose initially. So here is a transporter. It is SGLT1 or 2, both. In the primary part, S1, S2 segment, SGLT2 is there. Okay, in the later part, SGLT1 is there. Okay, so what happens? This is sodium dependent glucose transporter. So sodium and glucose, SGLT1 or 2. Okay, so they are responsible for 90% in the initial part and 10%, the rest of the 10% in the later part of PCT for the reabsorption of glucose. So SGLT1 or 2, both are responsible. Mostly SGLT1 is present in kidney and SGLT2 in intestine. Okay, so SGLT2 and 1, they help in reabsorption of glucose from the filtrate to the tubular epithelium or endothelium. Okay, now here another transporter is there, that is GLUT2. Okay, GLUT2 transports only glucose. Okay, what happens to the sodium? Sodium potassium ATPase is there. It helps in removal of sodium to the blood vessel with exchange of potassium. Okay, so is this clear? SGLT1 or 2 helps in reabsorption of glucose from tubular lumen to the cells and tubular cells, and from them the GLUT2 is there for the transportation of glucose to the blood. Clear? So these two parts are important. So 100% of glucose is reabsorbed again in the PCT only. Clear? Bujha geche? So 100% is freely filtered, then 100% is again reabsorbed in normal healthy individuals. So nothing is left for excretion. Okay, clear? Ei porjonto clear to everyone? Now comes the factors that determinates the reabsorption. What are they? One is transport maximum. Transport maximum. What is transport maximum? The amount of glucose that can be reabsorbed, or the rate of the glucose reabsorption in PCT, that is around 375 milligram per minute. Okay, transport maximum is like 375 milligram of glucose can be reabsorbed per minute. So this is a factor, transport maximum. Another factor is renal threshold. What is renal threshold? This is the characteristic of nephrons. Okay, so this is the power of nephron. how fast or how much they are reabsorbing. And renal threshold is, it is the value of plasma glucose. Plasma glucose concentration above which or above which there will be excretion of glucose, or below which no excretion. Above hole there will be excretion in urine. So the concentration of plasma glucose below which there will be no excretion of glucose in urine is known as renal threshold, or above which value there will be excretion of glucose in urine is known as renal threshold. So what is the value of renal threshold in normal individual? 180. It is 180 milligram per dl. Okay, 180 milligram per dl. So remember the normal plasma glucose values. What were they? What was the highest value we take as cutoff? 140. So for PP it is 140. It is much lesser than the renal threshold. So fasting is 70 to 100 milligram per dl. PP is less than 140 milligram per dl. Random is also less than 140 milligram per dl. So this is all the values, they are comparatively lesser than the renal threshold. Taito? What will happen if the plasma glucose concentration rises above renal threshold? Excretion will happen. Okay, so for glucosuria or glycosuria, what are the two factors? One is transport maximum, that is the capability of the nephron of reabsorbing glucose, and the other factor is renal threshold, that is the concentration of plasma glucose. So if someone's plasma glucose is remaining high or remaining higher than renal threshold, he will automatically excrete, his body will automatically excrete glucose in urine, resulting in glycosuria or glucosuria, right? So that will be known as hyperglycemic glycosuria. Hyperglycemic, that is crossing the renal threshold, plasma glucose concentration crossing or above renal threshold, leading to elimination or excretion of extra glucose via urine. Okay, that is hyperglycemic glycosuria. So we have understood the normal physiology and the factors affecting glucose reabsorption, right? So any pathology, what is pathology? Any disease. So any pathology in these two parts, either in the filtration part or in reabsorption part, right, will lead to glycosuria. Clear? Mainly glucosuria. So now glycosuria or glucosuria can be divided or classified into two types. One is hyperglycemic glycosuria, another is normoglycemic glycosuria. Okay, so in hyperglycemic glycosuria, as renal threshold is high, not renal threshold is high, the plasma glucose is more than renal threshold, that will lead to hyperglycemic. What are the causes? What are the causes? Most common cause of hyperglycemic glycosuria is diabetic mellitus. In diabetic mellitus, blood glucose level remains very high without, if untreated, left untreated, so it will result in glycosuria, and that will be of hyperglycemic glycosuria. Okay, and any other causes of hyperglycemic glycosuria? That is thyrotoxicosis. Thyrotoxicosis is excessive amount of thyroid hormones leading to excessive glucose metabolism, and excessive amount of free glucose is present in blood, leading to excessive excretion. Okay, so thyrotoxicosis. Another cause of hyperglycemic glycosuria will be steroids, use of steroids. Okay, Clear? So these are the more or less cause of hyperglycemic glycosuria. Next comes the normoglycemic. So from the term normoglycemic, we can say that one factor is normal. Which factor? That is plasma glucose level is normal. So what is hampered? The other factor, that is transport maximum. Our normal kidney can reabsorb up to 175 milligram per minute. Suppose it is decreased, transport maximum is decreased, body cannot absorb, or the PCT. Yes, transport maximum average value, for normal healthy individuals it is 375 milligram per minute. So if body cannot reabsorb that much amount, so it will naturally lead to glycosuria. Excess amount will be excreted, right? Although the plasma glucose is normal, right? Although the plasma glucose is normal. So what are the causes? Fanconi syndrome. What happens in Fanconi syndrome? Overall PCT transports are deranged. Not only for glucose but for amino acids, for bicarbonates, for phosphates, everything. Okay. So number one is Fanconi syndrome in normoglycemic glycosuria. Another cause can be familial renal glycosuria. Familial renal glycosuria or renal glycosuria, where the cause lies in the defect in SGLT1 or 2. Okay. If there is problem in any kind of glucose transporters, it will lead to decreased reabsorption. Although the plasma glucose is normal, normoglycemic glycosuria. Cause number one is Fanconi, where there is generalized PCT transport disorder, and in Fanconi's along with glycosuria there will be amino acid urea, phosphate urea, bicarbonate urea, everything will be excreted out. Okay, and that will lead to malnutrition, growth retardation, defective bone growth, ricket, osteomalacia in case of adults, all of these. Okay. Now, in case of familial renal glycosuria, what happened? SGLT1 or 2, they are defective. So, glucose reabsorption is hampered. বুঝে গেছে? Okay. আর কিসে হতে পারে? Normoglycemic glycosuria in pregnancy. Okay. Pregnancy is a physiological condition where there can be glycosuria without any pathology. Okay. So not that the plasma glucose is higher. What happens here? The transport maximum is reduced. Okay. And also the renal threshold in pregnancy decrease. Okay. For pregnant woman, renal threshold comes down to 160, 150, even 130 also. Okay. So at the blood glucose level of 130, pregnant woman can excrete glucose in urine. So normoglycemic glycosuria is seen in Fanconi syndrome, familial renal glycosuria, and in pregnancy. Okay, clear? And another thing, that is in case of excessive exercise or in case of fever, we can see normoglycemic glycosuria. Clear? So types are clear. Classification. So classification, we classified glycosuria into two types, hyperglycemic and normoglycemic. Causes of hyperglycemic: diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, steroid use of steroids, and in case of normoglycemic it is Fanconi. Okay, another thing, that is SGLT2 inhibitor. In case of normoglycemic glycosuria, SGLT2 inhibitor, it is a drug used for decreasing the hyperglycemic load or the glycemic load of blood in case of diabetic patients. So SGLT2 inhibitor. Okay, SGLT2 inhibitors, they also lead to glycosuria. Other causes can be excessive exercise, and fever, or hyperthyroidism also, like the initial stages of hyperthyroidism, not reaching thyrotoxicosis, but initial stages of hyperthyroidism can also show glycosuria. Okay. Another thing can happen, that is elementary glycosuria. What is elementary glycosuria? It is a mixed pattern where overload of glucose or excessive glucose intake will lead to transient glucosuria. Although the fasting and PP ranges are normal, but in between period, just after taking food, after 1 hour, plasma glucose will spike and it will lead to excretion of glucose in urine. That is known as elementary. Elementary, anything related to food intake. Okay. So, elementary glycosuria is another type that can happen because of excessive glucose load or excessive glucose intake leading to excessive spike or glucose spike immediately after the food intake, leading to glycosuria. Clear? Boja geche? Okay. What are the
in pregnancy, that is normoglycemic glycosuria or
normoglycemic. Pregnancy, normoglycemic, but there both the factors comes into the role. Okay. Transport maximum is also reduced and renal threshold is also reduced. For normal people it is 180. Why it is kept until till 180? Because PP is taken after 2 hours of food intake, right? But after 1 hour the peak rises up to 170, 180 according to the glucose concentration in our food or the glycemic index of the food. Okay, so it can rise up to 170 or 180, up to 180. If it crosses 180, then only glucose will be eliminated in urine. For pregnant woman, what happens at the plasma level of 150 or 140, they may excrete glucose in urine. So what happens, their blood glucose is normal. After 1 hour of taking food, plasma glucose level of 150 is normal. Okay, but it will lead to glycosuria. So both the factors are present in pregnant woman. Clear? Okay. Okay. Now come to the other glycosurias, that are second most common reducing substance in urine is, next to glucose, is lactoseuria, and this is again also seen in third trimester of pregnancy. Okay, in pregnant woman in third trimester, lactose is found in, lactose is a milk sugar, right? So in third trimester of pregnancy, lactose can be found in urine. It is known as lactoseuria. Okay. Next comes fructoseuria, and lactoseuria is a normal condition, like no harm is there. Okay, it is a normal physiological condition found in third trimester of pregnancy. Now next comes the fructoseuria. So what are the fructose sources of fructose? Fruits. So what happens in fructose metabolism, fructokinase, there is an enzyme called fructokinase that converts fructose to fructose 6-phosphate. Okay, and that is the kinase enzyme is the first step of activating any substance in metabolic steps. Okay, so if there is deficiency of fructokinase enzyme, it will lead to defective metabolism of fructose. What is our goal? From
to produce
pyruvate, okay, or to produce energy. So fructose, glucose, galactose, all the monosaccharides, all the hexo sugars, they tend to convert into glucose or the intermediary products of glycolysis to produce pyruvate. Okay, so now if fructose cannot be converted into fructose 6 phosphate, it will get accumulated in body and there is no such fructose transporter or reabsorption process in kidney. So it will be eliminated freely. Okay, and how to detect fructose in urine? What is the test to detect, specifically to detect fructose? No, Molish is for generalized carbohydrate detection. Okay, so fructose for it is Selivanov for presence of ketone bodies. Okay, so Selivanov, if we get Benedict's positive, it can be glucose, it can be lactose, it can be fructose, it can be galactose, it can be even pentose sugars. Okay, but how to confirm that this is not glucose, this is fructose? So we will perform Selivanov's test. Not performed nowadays, but if needed, it can be done. Okay, Selivanov's test. Okay, next comes the another enzyme defect can lead to fructosuria, that is aldolase B enzyme. Okay, aldolase B, other than fructokinase, aldolase B enzyme deficiency can also lead to fructosuria. Right. Next comes galactosuria. What is galactose? What is galactose? C4 epimer of glucose. And what is the other importance of galactose? Last girl. Where is galactose found? Glucose is found in which food? Carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, glucose is carbohydrate, galactose is also carbohydrate. So in any food rich in glucose will be same containing same amount of galactose. So where do we find galactose? Name one disaccharide made up of
From milk.
okay, from milk. So name one disaccharide made up of galactose. Lactose. So what is lactose? Milk sugar. So any dairy product will give us lactose, and after breakdown of the disaccharide we will find galactose plus glucose. Okay, so galactose is a part of milk sugar or milk products. So galactose is found in a condition, it is known as galactosemia. Galactosemia means increased concentration of galactose in blood, galactosemia, and this occurs because of the enzyme defect of galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. Galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. Okay. Uridyl transferase. URIDYL. Uridyl transferase. Galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. So this enzyme is required for interconversion of galactose to glucose. Okay, so when this enzyme is absent or defective, it will lead to prevention of conversion of the galactose to glucose, leading to accumulation of galactose in our body, leading to galactosemia. And galactosemia, at the same reason where we found fructosuria, galactose will also be eliminated by kidneys. বুঝে গেছে? হয়েছে? So the enzyme defect here is galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. It is the intermediary enzyme in conversion where the galactose is converted to glucose. Okay, without this enzyme galactose cannot be converted into glucose, leading to accumulation of galactose in our body and leading to galactosuria. Right? Next, what is left? That is pentosuria. Okay, pentose sugar, and the particular pentose sugar is L-xylulose. 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 Okay, L-xylulose is another intermediary product in HMP pathway, HMP shunt. Okay. So, in HMP pathway, if the enzyme xylulose dehydrogenase or xylulose reductase, these two enzymes can be defective, leading to L-xylulose accumulation. Okay. What are the enzymes? Xylulose dehydrogenase or xylulose reductase. These two enzymes can be defected, leading to accumulation of L-xylulose in our body. Okay. And that will lead to excretion of L-xylulose in urine. So, L-xylulose, it is a pentose sugar, right? So, it will lead to pentose urea, and if this is found, the condition is known as essential pentosuria. Essential pentosuria. In essential pentosuria, what happens? Xylulose reductase or xylulose dehydrogenase enzymes are defective, leading to defective HMP pathway, and accumulation of xylulose is there, leading to pentosuria. Clear? Okay. Now, other than the Benedict's test, what else we can do to detect presence of glucose? Iodine test is done for presence of starch. Okay. So, presence of glucose can be identified by, name one another test, glucose oxidase test or enzymatic methods. Okay. So, nowadays we don't perform Benedict's for individual patient. What we do? We do a dipstick test. Dipstick test. In a test strip, there are multiple enzymes or reagents are embedded. Okay. We just put it in the urine sample and see whether there is any color change or not. Okay. So, that dipstick method is based on glucose oxidase method, right? That is confirmatory for glucose only. So, Benedict's will be positive in all the glycosurias, whether it is glucosuria, lactosuria, fructosuria, galactosuria or essential pentosuria. All these will give positive Benedict's. But to confirm whether this is glucose or fructose or lactose or galactose or pentosuria, we have to differentiate it by different confirmatory test. For fructose, we know it is Selivanov's. For glucose, it is the glucose oxidase test, dipstick test. Okay. So, this is it, and after this, like, what should be your take home message? Like, after the class, what are the take home messages? বল, তোরাই বল, কি বুঝলি আজকের এইটুকু ডিসকাশন থেকে, কি what is the gist? To start from normal blood glucose level, that is fasting PP or random. Okay. So, after intake, what is the normal level in blood? So, that blood comes to kidney. So, what happens in kidney? It is filtered freely, 100% glucose is freely filtered. Next comes the PCT, where 100% is reabsorbed again. Okay. So, this reabsorption is done by SGLT 1 or 2 and GLUT2. Okay. So, in the luminal side, it is sodium dependent. In the basolateral membrane, basement membrane, that is GLUT2. Okay. Now, what happens in case of any pathology that can alter two factors? One is transport maximum, that is the capacity of the PCT to reabsorb glucose, that is 375 milligram per minute. Another thing is plasma glucose concentration, on which what is dependent? The filtration. Okay. So, renal threshold normal, it is 180 milligram per DL. Now we can classify the glycosuria part into two different types. One is hyperglycemic, one is normoglycemic. What happens in hyperglycemic? Renal threshold is crossed. So that's why excess amount is excreted. What are the examples? Diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, use of steroid, mainly these. And in case of normoglycemic, Fanconi, what is the mechanism of Fanconi or the pathophysiology of Fanconi? It is overall PCT transport disorder. Okay, so not only glucosuria, also amino acid urea, phosphate urea, bicarbonate urea, all these things are excreted, and that lead to growth retardation. Why growth retardation? In Fanconi's, it is normoglycemic. Not excess glucose is present in body. Glucose is required for energy. So if glucose is not present, so it will lead to low energy and it will lead to breakdown of other molecules to produce energy, leading to retardation of growth. And phosphate urea, that is excretion of phosphates, will lead to bone deformity, may lead to ricket, okay, may lead to osteomalacia. In case of bicarbonate urea, when bicarbonates are eliminated, it will lead to acidosis, because bicarbonate is the alkali part or base part. Okay, so it will lead to the elimination of bicarbonates in urine will lead to acidosis in our body. Metabolic acidosis will be there. Okay. Next comes the familial renal glycosuria, where SGLT2 are defective. Okay, that there are mutations in the gene for SGLT2 and SGLT2 they are defective, leading to decreased reabsorption of glucose in PCT. Another cause that is not pathological, that is physiological, is pregnancy. So in pregnancy, both the factors are hampered, that is transport maximum is also decreased and renal threshold is also decreased. Okay, now what happens? What are the other causes of glycosuria? That is SGLT2 inhibitor, use of SGLT2 inhibitor drugs that are used in diabetes to reduce the blood glucose level, that may lead to normal blood, like it will lead to decrease in the plasma blood glucose, but at the same time SGLT2 inhibitors are all the glycosuria in all the cases. What common symptom is found? And that is UTI, urinary tract infection. Okay, so in any case of glycosuria, any kind of glycosuria, glucosuria, UTI will be found. Okay, another causes, physiological causes, high exercise. And so if asked, name two physiological causes of glycosuria, so what are they? Pregnancy and excessive exercise. Okay, and pathological causes you all know. Okay, next comes the other types of glycosurias other than glucosuria, that is pentosuria, lactosuria, galactosuria and essential pentosuria. All the enzymes defect, you know. In case of lactosuria, it is not pathological, it is physiological again in last trimester of pregnancy, and in case of fructosuria, it is deficiency of fructokinase or aldolase B. In essential pentosuria, the enzyme defective is xylulose dehydrogenase or xylulose reductase. Okay, and in case of galactosemia, it is deficiency of the enzyme galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. Question number 1. Glycosuria appears when filtered glucose load exceeds. The first question is, glycosuria appears when filtered glucose load exceeds. Options are renal plasma flow, transport maximum, renal blood flow or GFR. Like after crossing which value there will be glycosuria? Transport maximum. Okay. Next, usual renal threshold for adults 80, 120, 180, 200. What is 180? Okay, familial renal glucosuria occurs due to mutation in GLUT1, GLUT4, GLUT2, SGLT2. SGLT2. Okay. Glycosuria with normal blood glucose is seen in diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, renal glycosuria, Cushing syndrome. Renal glycosuria. Wherever the term is renal glycosuria, it is not because of plasma glucose high concentration, it is because of faulty renal mechanism. Okay, next. Essential pentosuria is due to deficiency of fructokinase, aldolase B, aldolase reductase or xylulose reductase. Xylulose reductase. Okay. Which sugar gives positive Benedict's but negative glucose oxidase dipstick? Glucose, xylulose, maltose or sucrose? Xylulose. Why? Yes, very good. Okay, sucrose is negative for Benedict, so it is eliminated. Maltose, xylulose and glucose, they give positive Benedict, but in dipstick, maltose will give positive because hydrolysis will lead to formation of glucose. ঠিক আছে? Glycosuria in pregnancy occurs mainly because of low GFR, increased renal threshold, decreased tubular reabsorption, decreased renal threshold. Decreased renal threshold. Okay. SGLT2 reabsorbs glucose from thick ascending limb, PCT, DCT, collecting duct. PCT. So these are easy questions, right? Fanconi syndrome causes glucosuria because of hyperglycemia, reduced GFR, generalized PCT defect or decreased insulin. Generalized PCT. So everybody, are you able to interpret the questions? Okay. Which drug intentionally causes glycosuria? SGLT2 inhibitors. Okay. Transient postprandial glycosuria occurs because insulin deficiency, blood glucose exceeding 180 mg per dl briefly, renal damage, no SGLT2 activity. Second option, that is spike, glucose spike. Okay. In essential fructosuria, the enzyme defective is aldolase B, fructokinase, UDP galactose transferase or galactokinase. It is fructokinase. Okay, fructokinase. Which condition shows hyperglycemic glycosuria? Familial renal glycosuria, galactosemia, diabetes mellitus, pentosuria. Diabetes mellitus. Okay. Which segment of PCT shows high affinity for glucose reabsorption? S1, S2, S3, loop of Henle, that is S1. Sorry, this is for high affinity. Okay, high affinity is seen in S3, not S1. It is high capacity in S1. 90% is reabsorbed in S1, but the remaining 10% that is highly shows high affinity. Okay, so remaining 10% will be reabsorbed in S3. So here the answer will be S3. Okay. Positive Benedict plus negative dipstick test suggest diabetes mellitus, hyperglycemia, renal failure or presence of reducing sugars other than glucose. Other than glucose? Normoglycemic glycosuria commonly seen in diabetic ketoacidosis, hyperthyroidism, pregnancy, Cushing syndrome. Pregnancy. Essential pentosuria is pathological associated with kidney damage, benign hereditary condition caused by hyperglycemia. Benign hereditary condition. Okay. Which sugar is not reducing? Right. Clear? Everybody?